Let me know once you are able to see my screen, okay? Now you know how to log in into the mainframe. So this is the way we'll invoke the ISPF panel. So this is the ISPF panel. Now we'll directly jump to a GDG part. I think we created the GDGs that the other day, right? How to create a GDG. So we already went through it. Okay. So this is the JCL to create a GDG. For create GDG base. Okay, there are two things as I already discussed. There are two things in the GDG part. One is the GDG base, and another is the are the versions. Okay, so uh, to create a base, it is simple. See, any in anything in a JCL like sort or GDG or some other creating a new file, we have already created IBM utilities. Okay, uh, GDGs base and then GDG versions. So we already have the utilities created by IDM, so we don't need to write a program for that. We just need to run this program by passing this parameter. Now, I know that this things might be surprising for you, like for a new people. What is this sysin? What is this sysout, sysprint, and all those things, right? So this is IDCAM. IDCAMs is the program name to create GDG base. The IDCAM is IBM utility. Okay, so for creating a GDG version, utility that we have to use is ID cams. Now, what all things we need to pass to this ID cam? So sysprint is like sysprint, sysout, all these particular parameters, print the messages. Now, in a DD statement, we have to put sysout equal to star. What it does, like uh, it star means the all messages. Okay, sorry, not all messages. It goes to your spool. Okay, so when I let me submit the job and I will show you how it looks like. I will create a GDG1 here and I will submit it. Okay, job ये finish हो गया. This is my job name. Now, how to see the job in a spool? I need to write command start sd.st. See, write it down, okay? This will be useful for you when you will do a practice. I mean, and definitely there are currently, sd.st. stc, no, sd.st. Okay. Now this is my job. Now you see that if how to see the job, you have to put the question mark on in front of it. Okay, so you will see this sysprint, and then in a sysprint, all the messages related to the GDGs are printed. That's why it's sysprint and sysout is needed. Okay, and then what is the sysin? Sysin is the in-stream data. Sysin is used to pass the in-stream data. In-stream data in the sense the data that will be passed through a JCL for executing this program inside the JCL. So we are not using any file here. We are directly passing the data in stream. So what is the syntax for this? Sysin dd star, and then I will go through these parameters and how JCL come to know that the data is finished or it is this is all the data that you have to pass. So you this is the delimiter. So if you found this, that means that here it is starting and here it is ending. Okay, and in between that there is a in-stream data. Now this is the syntax of defining a GDG. Okay, so how you define GDG? Then the name is the name of the generation GDG base that you want to give. Okay, so now we executed this job. That means you are able to create a GDG base here. Okay, simple. Now, okay. How to see the job in the spool? SJ will invoke a job inside the spool. Sorry. So this is the now we'll go through parameters. Okay, one by one parameters of this. What is this session for? Okay. Okay, so now in the last session we saw that this is the GDG base name. This is how the versions are. So let me show you again, just to okay, let me admit someone. Hey, I think Bao joined. Okay, just remind me if someone is waiting on a lobby. Okay, I don't know like a Teams we see here or not. I'm not much used to this Google Meet, but hey, hi, Balu. Sorry for I didn't see that you are waiting on the lobby. Okay, so where we are. So what we see in the last session. So in the last session, we saw that we created the GDGs, and then GDG versions. Some of the versions we created, one, two, three. This is the data. This is the group of the data sets used to store the similar kind of information. So let's say if I want to store the monthly attendance. Okay, so, so this is the day one attendance. This is a day two attendance. This is a day three attendance. Because this is attendance is same, I have created the one GDG family. So this is the GDG family entire. Okay, GDG base, and these are the versions. And what is there inside the versions? Inside the version, we have to put the data. Okay, like on the day 100 students are there, on the day two 97 students are there, on the day 300 students are there. So like this we can use these versions to store the data in a real time project. We use these GDG versions to store the output of the daily jobs. So there are the jobs which do some calculations, and those are scheduled daily. Okay, so daily it generates the outputs, and then those outputs are processed and then stored into the tables, and then letters or notifications are generated out of those output, and then those are sent to ultimately users by email, or let's say kind of letters that we generate. So let's say a daily cycle, there is one job which daily gives you uh, the value of your portfolio. Okay, and then sends gives you a daily statement. Okay, so the day one statement will be stored on a G1 version, day two statement will be stored on a G2, day three statement will be stored on a G3. So similar kind of a data is stored in these versions. Okay, now this is the parameters that to create. Now ये सबको clear है क्या? GDG version, base, and then version, and you know what is G stand for and what is V stands for, right? इसमें क्या होता है? Only thing that we need to see is these numbers are increasing, 1 2 3. Okay, all are clear on this? Yes, no? Okay. Anyways, now I will go through these parameters. Okay, name here, name gives the name of the GDG base that you have to create. So first sentence that you have to write is a define GDG. Now continuation, this is the continuation parameter. That means your next data is in the second line. So what is the next parameter? It is name. Name is the name of the GDG base. Okay, so this is the name of the GDG base. Now the next parameter, empty or non-empty. No empty means okay, I will explain this. No empty means uncatalog only the older generation. So when okay, I will focus on a empty and no empty. Okay, now let's focus on empty and no empty. What is the difference between them? So what I will do, I will create a new generation data set with limit 3. Okay, with limit 3. I will give the name as a 3. Okay, I will show you the another way of creating the GDG also, which you might have not you have in project in your project, but you might not know about it. So I will go through that later. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a generation data set with the limit 3. Okay, to explain the limit, this empty and non-empty parameter. Okay, now the GDG base 3 is created. So if you go through it, um, GDG 3, this base is created. Okay, now okay, this base is created. Now let me create the versions of it. Okay, so here I am explaining the empty and non-empty parameter in a practical way. Okay, how practically it affects. So that's what is the important, right? Once you know the practically, you don't need to you know uh, by heart that, or you don't need to uh, mug up that one. So it just you should understand it. Once you understand it, you don't need to tell anyone. Okay, I mean, you don't need to worry about it, like what is the syntax and all. You will be able to um, automatically grasp that. Okay, and how to create a generation. So new generation. Um, Let me create that job. Okay. So similar way, I will just give my GDG generation name here, and I will do a plus one. Plus one means a new version. Okay. Now see, when I created my GDG version 10, how to see what are the parameters used? You have to use the command LC. LC is to list catalog. Okay, list catalog. You have to use this command in front of the GDG base, and you have to press enter. Okay, yeah, here this command is not working. Let me just see list. List is also not working. Normally we use a list command to see, like, what parameters are there. We'll see later like why it is not working, but what are the parameters that we used for creating the GDG3? Okay, we use the empty. Okay, empty parameter. Now we'll see what is the empty parameter. Theoretically, empty is uncatalog all the generations when a limit is reached. So what is the limit? Limit is 3 for this. So what it says, when all the three generations are created and you want to try create a new fourth generation, all the delete all the previous generations and then start again. Okay, so, as name suggests, it says that when your limit is reached, limit means in this particular GDG base, you can create only three generations because I have given the limit 3. So, what will happen after reaching the limit or once the limit is exhausted? So, that thing is mentioned here, empty or non empty. Empty means delete all the three previous three and start again, and non-empty means only delete the first one and then just create the next one. So let's practically see that. So limit is 3 for this. um, and the parameter that we use the is the empty. Okay, now I will create the new generation dataset. So how to create it? The new version for creating the GDG base, we have to use the IDCAM utility. For creating the plus one versions, we have to use the IEFBR14, the same utility that we used earlier to create a PS files. Okay, I will go here and submit this job. Job is completed. Now I see that version 1 is created. Okay, now I need to create a one more version. So I will again do a submit. So it will create a one more version. Two versions are created. Now I will create a one more version, 3. Okay, it created the third version. Okay, now our limit is reached. I don't know why this cat is not working. Anyways, maybe those are available in some additional things we have to purchase for it. So these three versions are created. Okay, now the limit is reached. What the limit we have given for this is 3, and we have given the or we have defined the parameter as an empty for this particular for creating the GDG base. So the parameter that we define is a empty. So what empty says, if the limit is reached, what you have to do, uncatalog all the generation. That means delete all the generations and create a new when limit is reached. Now limit is reached. Okay, all the three versions are created. Now let's see, if I try to create a fourth version, what happens. Okay, so I created the fourth version for this. Now I will see what happened to my GDG base. Okay, it's an empty, right? It should uncatalog all the generation data set. Why it is not doing that? What is the I created it as a 30 or something. Okay. Now see, there is again, I use the no scratch here. Do not physically delete the generations which is uncatalogue. So that's why we are able to see that. Okay. The next parameter comes in a picture here. You have to empty. See, uncatalog and delete. There is a difference between uncatalog and delete. I will explain you the difference. Okay. Let me. So this is the combination that we use, empty and no scratch. That means uh, empty entire uncatalog all the generation, and no scratch means do not physically delete it but just only uncat it. That means you will be still able to see that, but you will not be able to use that one. So we'll try it. So if I try to edit this, मेरे को तो नहीं जाना चाहिए. Wait a minute. So ideally it should have been uncatalogued. That use, maybe I will not be able to use it somewhere. Okay, if I want to use this in some jobs, I will not be able to use it. So let me define the GDG with a scratch only, empty and scratch. Okay, I will just give the limit as a 2. I don't know, like it should have deleted it, but let's go with the scratch. Let's see what it does. Okay. So I have created a GDG database, a GDG base with empty and scratch, and limit is 2. Now let's try to create a two different versions of it. Okay. Number in use. That means it is already there somewhere. Create a GDG 4 here. Already created 2 times, so I will use submit twice. Two generations are created. Okay. Now let's try to create a third generation. Here you can see that first two generations are physically deleted because I have given the scratch. Physically delete the generations which is uncatalogued. And empty, what empty will do? Empty will uh, What empty and scratch, these are the combinations that we have used for GDG4. So what it does, uncatalog all the generations when limit is reached and then physically delete. See, there are two things, uncatalog and delete. Delete is a different thing and uncatalog is a different thing. Uncatalog means you will not be able to use that dataset in any of the job because it is not catalog. You will not be able to use that dataset with this equal to share. Okay, it will say that that dataset is not found. And delete is like something physically deleted. Okay, do not just like recycle bin and then a normal folder. If you delete it, it will be just move to a recycle bin. But when you actually shift delete it, it will completely removed from the uh, it will be completely removed from the your memory. Now I will again create a one more. Okay, so it would create a new generation, for 3 and 4. Now limit is reached. The limit for this GDG is, I have given the limit for this GDG as a 2. Okay, 2. 2 is the limit. Okay, and then what the parameter I have used to create it, empty. Empty means uncatalog all the generation, and scratch, that means physically delete it. So after this is reached, it will be physically deleted. So I will again now see. Now you are able to see the two generations, 3 and 4. Now let me try to create a one more. Now limit is reached. If I try to create a one more generation of it, it will delete the 3 and 4 and it will create a new one. So when I see here, it is deleted the 3 and 4 and created the fifth version. Okay. Now similarly, let me try to uh, you know use it for just a second. Okay, now let me try to create a new data set. Okay, new particular GDG with another parameters. Okay, let's come out of all the things that we are doing. I will go here, st.xt. Then I will see the last one that we created. Okay, this is for creating this one. Now we see what is the empty and scratch do. Okay, so what I will do, I will here try no empty and scratch. Now what no empty means, as name suggests, do not empty it. Okay, so now I will try to use this no empty parameter. Okay, and then with this scratch parameter, what it will do, no empty, uncatalog the oldest generation in the GDG when the limit is reached. So whatever is the oldest generation, only delete that, do not delete all the generations. Okay, so what I will do, I will show you this practically. Now I'm using no empty and scratch. Okay, so okay, this created the GDG base. This base is created. Now what I will do, I will try to create the versions of it. GDU5 is our name. Now the limit is 2, right? 1, 2. I submitted twice, so it will create a 2 generations. Okay, 2 generations created. Now, ideally, what it is saying, when limit is reached, now limit is reached, it will delete only the oldest generation. What no empty will do? Only delete no empty and scratch. This combination, what it will do? Only oldest generation will be removed. Okay, so it will remove 1 and it will append 3. So let's see how it does. See, you saw it, right? 1 is gone now and only 2 and 3 are there. Okay, so this is the combination of the no empty. Okay, no empty and scratch, and empty and scratch. See, no scratch is something, uncataloguing it and not deleting it doesn't make sense. So normally no scratch is not used anywhere. The combination of these threes are used, empty, no empty with scratch. Okay. So let me try to create a one more out of it. So see, again I will explain. This limit is reached. 2 is the limit. Limit is reached. Now, if I would have specified empty, all these 2 are gone, and the next generation, fourth will be created. But because I mentioned no empty while creating this GDG base, it will only delete the oldest generation. So I will submit it. So it deleted the version 2, and 3 and 4 are there. The fourth version is appended and version 2 is deleted, right? So this is how this parameter works. Okay, these are the parameters that I have explained you about the GDG version. So is there any doubt between all these parameters, empty, no empty, scratch? No, right? Do you have any doubt? Bolo bhai. Yes, no. Okay. Right. See, if you guys will not respond, then how I will come to know, यार? If do you have any doubt or not? हिंदी में बोलो. Yes. No problem. No doubt, no doubt, actually. Good. Okay. Okay. Thanks. अगर ये रियल टाइम का थोड़ा याद करना है नहीं इस रियल टाइम सॉरी इसको रियल टाइम में कैसे यूज करेंगे ये सही रहेगा यस ये तो बेसिक है करेक्ट इसको रियल टाइम सी रियल टाइम में या रियल टाइम में भी सेम ही रहता है ठीक है ओके रियल टाइम में भी क्या रहेगा कि द सेम थिंग्स आर यूज आईडी कैम इज ओनली यूज इन अ रियल टाइम प्रोजेक्ट फॉर क्रिएटिंग द जीडीजीज ओके नाउ normally see what you want to do with it normally real time में इसका यूज क्या है कि sometimes what happens I will explain this no empty and empty parameter okay again sometimes your requirement are such a that you don't want to keep the lot of generations okay you just wanted to delete when the see let's say I am creating the attendance monthly okay now my June month is completed okay 30 days are my 30 generations are done okay now for the July month what I will do, I will copy those 30 generations in some Excel or something to store it. Now, what should happen to my June, June data when July is come? Okay, on the 1st of July, I will not keep all those 30 generations of June. Now, why I need it? I will delete it, right? So that in that case, if I have to use the empty and scratch, that means it will start again from a one right for the new sorry again from a one means again from a day one all the last 30 will gone we don't need a June data only July data is needed that's why it's we use the empty this will save your space and if you save the space of keeping the generations it will save the cost for your company see when you save this particular that's a good but good example but एक बार करके बताया नहीं sorry इनपुट फाइल लेना पड़ता है ना उसको कैसा वो इनपुट फाइल आउटपुट कैसा उसको हमें बताना पड़ता है वो एक बार बताइए इनपुट आउटपुट फाइल आपको इनपुट आउटपुट आप एक बार बता दे तो मैं दूसरे मतलब प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए आसान होगा राइट अच्छा आई मीन हाउ दिस जनरेशंस आर क्रिएटेड वो फिर से एक बार बताओ ये बोल रहे हैं हाँ, हाँ। नहीं नहीं अब जो एग्जाम्पल बोले ना उसकी उसको कैसा बना करेक्ट लेट्स से you have some activity weekly okay this is the weekly activity what I will do we will create a generations for the week okay now let's say weekly attendance okay you are keeping the weekly attendance so for week just a second huh? ठीक है. Okay.
For
Where I am,
yes.
for week, I need to store the only week for it. Okay, so I will give the 7 here. Now what I will do, I don't want to keep the data of the week 1 to
Last
next
month
week.
data we don't need.
Yeah, sorry.
No, no, last month data we didn't need, right?
Correct. So no, this will empty will delete the last week data. Okay.
Ha, ha, ha.
Events the next week will start it. So what I will do, I will create this. Okay, this is a weekly data set, weekly generation data set which will store the attendance weekly. Okay, now let's say week 1. Okay, this is the start of the January, and I started storing the data for the weekly purpose. Okay,
Okay.
this GDG will create a weekly data set. Now what I will do, I will create a generations for it, 7 generations. So let's say I have used the scratch there, right? So
I
one.
mean,
Mhm.
Akshay, IFR 14 is only program to create I mean GDG based I mean like this or
No,
anything
no,
we
no,
are
no,
using.
no. GDG base. See, when you have to create a
For ID
GDG,
camps, okay, okay, got it. For
GD,
GDG based ID camps, right?
ID camps, yes. And then for a GDG versions, IFBR 14. See, it is not the only utility. Good question. It is not the only utility to create a GDG version. See, normally when I want to do some sort, okay, I can store that data in a sort. Let me show you how I can use this in a sort. Okay, in a real time example, Novin will use the IFBR 14. IFBR 14 is used to create the empty file.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, empty file. Now let's say my JCL is there which does some sort. Okay, sort JCL, we learned this some other day. Let me see if my input file is still present, otherwise I will create it. Okay, it's still there. So in my input file, there are some digits which are not in sorted order. Now instead of this output file, I will use my GDG. Okay, GDG base. But just I need to do one thing. I need to use it as a plus one version. Okay, so let me close all of these. Okay. So I will here use the GDG 7 and plus 1. Now what it will do, it will, instead of output file, what I use plus 1 here. That means the data will be stored in a plus 1 version of it. Okay. Now I will do submit. Job is completed successfully, and the output will be written on the plus 1 version, plus 1 generation of it. Okay. So this is the latest generation, and you can see that output is sorted. Output is placed here. Now what I want to do, I want to do a descending order sort. So I will again submit this JSL. So now you don't need to change the output file name. Okay, you just need to keep the entire syntax same, because plus one means it will create a plus one generation, next generation. So I submitted it. So again,
Yeah, then the generation is created, right?
next generation is created and data is sorted in
In
the
the descending
descending order.
order.
So normally, see what happens practically, every time create a new file name. See, uh, previously I was using sort out here, right? This is for practice, okay. But when you go in actual project, every time you cannot change the JCL. This JCL, once this JCL is installed into the production, you will not have access to change that JCL. Now how to create then the new names, right? Dynamic new names we need for it every time, right? So when I cannot just every time change output 1, output 2, output 3, output 4 manually. So simply in that case use the GDG version. The code will be same every time. The plus one version means every time it will create a plus one version. Now again I want to create an ascending order, or I just need to sort fields equal to copy whatever, like whatever there in input file I want to use it into the out, I want to copy it into the output file. I will just press sort file, sort fields equal to copy, and again the code will be same, plus one. That means the new generation will be created again, and with the same data as of the input file. Okay, so now in this case, one, two, three, four, five. Now see, this B is the command to browse it. So when I browse the version 3, it will have the ascending order data: 1, 10, 20, 50, 60. The next generation 4, 4 came up. It will have the data in the descending order, and fifth is created as it is, like whatever is the in the input as it is will be created. Now we have set the limit for it as a 7. Let's say 5 is reached, I will create a 2 more generations. One time submit, 2 times submit. Okay, now it created the 7 generations. Now we have given this empty and scratch, right? Now you can see that there are 7 generations are created for a 1 week. Okay, a week is over. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all over. Next week is starting. Now I don't want to keep this data. I somehow this data is stored into some other data set. Backup is taken, and now I don't want to keep this. So now when I submit a next version of, again one more version, now because I use the empty, it will delete all the data sets, all those 7 versions, and it will start again. You can see that the 8th version is created, all the rest of the versions are gone. Clear?
Yes.
So this is for empty. Now name suggests empty, and scratch is delete. So no empty means
Regarding, Akshay,
no.
you are regarding this section, right?
Mhm. Can you repeat again?
You are regarding this section, right?
I am recording the session, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, now what is the, this is a empty. Okay, this, what is a no empty? Now when we create a no empty, just oldest generation will be gone. So in that case only first version would have gone, and second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eight will be there. When the new will come, then second will gone, and the rest will be there, like that. Okay, so the oldest generation will be deleted in the no empty, and in empty only all the generations will be deleted and new generations will be created. Next generation will be created as a standalone generation, just like this. Okay, so this is the you know uh, all about GDG. Now I will show you one option which normally you can use in your it will be there in every project, but normally a lot of people don't know about it. So you can create a GDG by using 3.2, same 3.2 option. We use the 3.2 option for creating the PS file, but here also we can use this option for creating a GDG. So you have to use this vsam utilities. I don't know in this version it is available or not. Okay, now you have to give the name. I will put it like z13464 dot opt32 dot gdg. Okay, now what you have to do, delete, define what list cat information. So I will just do a one here, and then generation data group, gdg is the full form of it, gdg, generation data group. And I will give the option 4 here. This is very useful. I normally in my project I do not submit a job for creating the gdg. I will just go through this option and create a gdg version, gdg base. Okay, so it will invoke your decimal number. Okay, now you have to give the limit here, what the limit you want to use. Okay, so I will give the limit as a 10, 10 for this. Now okay, it took this as a this empty or no empty, scratch, no scratch, scratch. So this will be taken by default. It will be generated with the empty and scratch. Okay, that will be the default parameters used for this. And now here you just need to put the execute command. So return code is 0. That means your dataset is, your GDG base is created. Okay, PT GDG करके था ना. This is the GDG base created. If you want to delete it, it will be just instead of define, you just need to use the delete there in all your in JCL also you just need to use the delete and then the base name. Okay, if I want to delete it, I will just use delete and then submit. So there is some execute instead of, so it is return code is 0 and this will be deleted. Now there are few things that that will be asked during the interview. Okay, I will go through it. So this is deleted. Now this is how you will delete the GDGs. This is how you will create the plus one versions of it. Okay, and this is how you will use the non-empty, empty, scratch, no scratch parameters. Okay, this is all about the GDG. Now there is one interview question around that is more likely is used is, or that more likely asked is, let me show you. Okay, so let's say when this plus one will be created, this plus one will be created. Now let me show you. Okay, okay. Hmm. So let's say what it is doing. It is creating a same sort input file. I will use any. I will use any of the GDG. So let's say I will use this one, and then I'm created a plus one version with sort fields equal to copy. Okay, in copying in this one, and then in a next step, this is a step one. Now I'm using the step two. Okay, in a step two, I want to sort this. So what step one is doing? My step one is just copying it from input to output, and in my step two, I have to use this and sort this. Okay, so I have to use it here. Okay, now this is, see, this is how it is used. Okay, let me, now you want to see, we want to learn here. See, this plus one is created, okay, here, but now plus one means what? Like, let me open this particular. So, Abhi, listen carefully now. Now, plus one means what? Fourth generation will be created, right? So, this will create the fourth generation, fourth version. Okay, this particular step one, it will create a fourth version. Now, I have to use that fourth version. Now I have to use that fourth version. I have to use that fourth version in next step. Okay. So here, now see, you will how to go to a zeroth version. What is the latest version? Okay, if you put 0 here, it will give you the latest version. Latest version is 3. Okay, now since you want to use the new version, fourth version, which is created in the same step 1, okay, the earlier step, you have to use or reference it as a plus 1. And then again you will create a plus 1. Okay, now here what we'll do, we'll sort it 110 CHA. I will explain this all sort. Next session is on sort only. Okay, now the concept here, the question here asked, the question will be asked is, within the same job, my step 1 is creating one, plus 1 version of the GDG. How I will use that in a step 2? I mean, is it with the plus 1 or zeroth version? See, ideally, the concept here is the plus 1 version, that means fourth version, will be created after the completion of a job. Once the job is completed, all the job is completed means once all the steps are executed, then the fourth version will be created. So if I use it with 0, just like here, I'm trying to see, ideally fourth version will be created. So what I will do, I will use the zeroth version. Okay, I will explain it. Let's say if I created only this step I want to run. See now, okay, if you want to, one more thing, if you want to uh, if you want to do not execute the step 2, okay, for some reason you have to give the this particular only these two signs here, that will terminate your job at this only. The next step will be not used. Okay, so if I want to create a new file, what I will do, I will use as a submit. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. Okay, now, okay, the next step is not for EA, latest job. Only this step is executed. I created I copied the input file into the output file. Okay. Now in a fourth generation, I have the data from an input file. Okay. Now let's say I have to use this as an input. This zeroth version, the version 4 as an input. Okay. So I don't need to give entire dataset name here. If I want to use as an input, I don't need to give entire GDG name here. Okay, I just need to give zero zeroth version. Zeroth version means, I'll tell you. See, this is called as the zeroth version. This is called as the minus one version. This is called as the minus two version. This is called as the minus three version. So if I invoke it with 0 like this, it will give me the fourth version, right? If I try to invoke with a minus 1, it will give me the third version. If I want to use the minus 2, it will give me the second version. If I want to invoke the first version, minus 3, then it will give me the first version. So see, normally these are, you know, this one considered as a zeroth version, this one will be considered as a minus one version, this one will be considered as the minus two version, this one will be considered as a minus three version. So what I will do, In minus one version, I will have some data. Let's say 100 I4 900 005. Okay, some data is there. Now, in my job, I want to use the fourth version, this version, okay, in which data is there like a 1, 123, 10, 20, 60, 50, okay, and I want to copy it, I want to sort it. So, 1 to 10, 1 to 3 I will use, and then CH, and then A. I want to sort this data. Now, if I want to use this fourth version, I will reference it in a JCL as a zeroth version. Okay, clear है सबको? I hope it is clear, right? Hello, I will use as a zero version. Okay, now I will submit. Job is submitted. Now in a see how to see in output file that data 110 25 will be sorted. See, all this data is came into the output file. So what version it used? The fourth version it used, right? So how to identify that? So if you go here, if you see just messages, it will show you what version it is used. Normally in our see here, it used the fourth version. When you reference it with a minus one, sorry zero, it used the fourth version. Now I will reference it with minus one.
वहां पर यानी जीरो पर प्लस वन दे तो अगर नया जनरेशन क्रिएट होगा, नया वर्जन क्रिएट होगा, राइट अक्षय?
Plus one you can give it in the output file. Okay, here in
या
input.
जहाँ यानी वर्जन 5 क्रिएट होगा अपन
Yes, version 5
आउटपुट.
will be created if I give the plus one
या
version in output. Okay.
अब कभी भी डिक्रीज करते हैं तो यानी प्रीवियस वर्जन को जाएगा, राइट?
Correct.
माइनस वन, माइनस टू, माइनस थ्री
you
वाला
cannot
करके.
you cannot use the minus one minus two minus three in a output. Okay, output should be hamesha plus one.
प्लस
Okay,
प्लस, यस यस.
in
यू वांट टू
input
क्रिएट
in input you can use plus one, zero, minus one, minus two, minus three, minus four. Now I will tell you zero, minus one, minus two, plus one is some different concept, and that is what is asked in the interview. Okay, now when I use the zero here, it invoked the fourth version. Now I'm
यस
using the minus one here, that means it will invoke the
थ्री,
three
यस
version,
यस करेक्ट.
version 3. Okay, so if I want to go and check here, so this is the zero, this is the zeroth version, this is the minus one, this is minus two, this is minus three. What is there in minus one? Now minus one will be used. Okay, so 100 900 and 005. So I will sort it now. So when I reference it with minus one, and if you go and check what is the output, it will have the sorting of those three data that is there in an input file. 500 and 900 itne sort kar diya. Now in a practical in your job, you by looking at the job you don't know what version it is used, right? So how you can identify that? You just copy it, go to the job, question mark, go to the just messages, find for your GDG name, and you will come to know what generation it is used. What it is used? Generation 3 it is used. Okay, so this is how you can use 4 3 2 1. Okay, this is a zeroth version, this is a minus one, minus two, minus three. सबको अभी जीरो माइनस वन माइनस टू माइनस थ्री क्लियर है ना?
हाँ.
Yes, rest all. Neeraj, Prasad.
यस क्लियर.
Okay. Okay, now I will tell you what happens when plus one the same GDG version is referenced in the next step. Okay, now, okay. Now I have to use, let's say I want to create a new version, so I will use the plus one here. Plus one means कौन सा version create होगा अभी? What will be the version number? 5, right?
5.
Correct. 5 it will use. Now, for some reason, I have to use that in the next step. This version, the newly created version in this particular uh, step, I want to use in the below step, step 2. So I cannot reference it as a 0 because the version will be created after completion of a job. Okay, version will be created after completion of a job. So the intermediate version, so let's say if some version is created in a previous step and you want to use this in a next step, you have to reference it with a plus one. Okay.
यहाँ का आउटपुट को यानी नेक्स्ट स्टेप में इनपुट के यूज कर सकते हैं.
Yes. So you can use this plus one as an input because see, if I give the zeroth one here, na, if I give the
हाँ.
zeroth here, it will invoke the fourth version. It will take the fourth version as an input. But I don't want to use the fourth version. I want to use the fifth version created in a step one. The step one will create the version 5 here, right? I want to use the same version 5. So what it will do, first step, what this step is doing, this step is just copying this one to this one. Okay, plus one version, fifth version. And what is the next step 2 is doing? It is sorting the plus one version created to the output file, some output file. Okay, sorting, it is sorting actually. Now if I use the version 0 here, it will use the fourth version already created. Okay, if I use the version 0 here, what it will do,
0 means already existing, right?
ah,
Last one.
last one, zeroth version. So it will use the fourth one. But I don't want to use the fourth one. I want to use the one which will be creating in the next one. So इसमें पांच होगा create, right? The number will be 5. So what you will think, अरे 5 हो गया तो I will just use the 0. Then it will invoke the 5. No. This is the interview question. It is asked in every interview. Normally, every interviewer will have some question around it. If the generation, if the new generation created in a next previous step, and if you want to use that in a same job, okay, in a same job, you have to reference it with plus one version. Okay, you
Repeat
will
again. One
you
second. Repeat it.
yeah, let's say in a job, step 1 creates one new GDG version and you want to use that newly created GDG version in the same job. This is the same job, right? There is a no new
Yes, sir.
job I am using. If you want to use it in a same job, you have to reference it with a plus one version. Okay, because the generation data set new GDG version will be created after completion of entire job. It will not be created the stepwise. It is not like that. If this step is executed, it will create a 5 and you can just reference it with 0 here and then you can go and use it. No, you will be able to only use the version created in the job after submit completion of a job. So in this step I am creating a plus one version and I want to use the same version in a next step as an input. I will use it with the disk equal to share. Okay, with a plus one. So my step one is copying input to output, and in my step two, what I'm doing, I am sorting my copied the data which is copied in the above step and writing it into the output file. So I will tell you how it works. Okay, and what will happen if you use the generation zeroth version there. Okay, now I will submit it. It is completed. In your output file, data will be in a sorted order. All the data is sorted. That means what my job did. So if I try to see here what version it is used. So GDG version 5 is created in the input file. The step 1, this is the step 1. Step 1 created fifth version and it is used in the step 2. If it is, we have to do a scroll here, SCR. Okay. See the step 2. What step 2 used? Step 2 used the fifth version, which is created in the above step. So step 1 created fifth version and step 2 used that fifth version as a input. Samjha? This is the step 1. Step 1. Step 1 created fifth version, right? And step 2 used that fifth version. Step 2 use that fifth version because I have used it as a plus 1 here. Okay. Now if I want to see, now let's say I am creating a plus 1 version here again, and referencing it with zeroth version, okay, instead of plus 1. Now plus 1 create किया, अभी अभी job complete हो गया, that job is completed. So after completion of job my 5 versions are created, fifth version is created. So when next time I will use this plus 1, it will create a sixth version. And if I use the 0 here, okay, it will not take sixth version as an input, it will take a fifth version as an input, because if you want to use the plus 1 here, you have to use the plus 1 this equal to share. Okay, so if I submit this job, and now I will tell you what is the difference. Okay, जैसे error ही आया, क्या वो, अच्छा ये आउटपुट फाइल ऑलरेडी क्रिएट हुआ है, इसलिए जैसे error आया कि it is already created. Now complete हो गया. Now let me show you, okay, what happened. Now this is the my latest job, and this is my this one. Now I will go to a step 1. Okay, my step 001, it created version 7, right? 6, तो पिछला वाला जॉब फेल हो गया ना, तो वो 6 क्रिएट कर लिया था उसने ऑलरेडी, तो दैट्स वाई 6 ऑलरेडी क्रिएटेड है, तो 7th इसने किया. बट तुम्हारा द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, द स्टेप 2, व्हाट स्टेप 2 विल बी यूज्ड? स्टेप 2 विल यूज सिक्स्थ वर्जन. ये देखो, क्योंकि बिकॉज यू यूज्ड एज अ 0 प्लस 0 हियर. So the bottom line is, if your GDG is created in a previous step and you want to use in the next steps or any of the next steps within a same job, you have to reference it with plus 1. Okay, clear है? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now this concludes the GDG section. Uh,
Akshay,
hmm.
if
Yes, please.
if we have, I mean, we have short step also, so we need to give +1 only for every step, right?
Yes. So if you want to create a new, you have to use the plus one. Okay. In an output
Okay.
file. Okay. Plus one will be always in output file unless and until you want to use that created new version as an input in the next step. If you want to use this newly created version in the next step as an input, you have to reference it with plus one. Okay. And
Okay.
in
Okay.
in
Got
in a input you have to use it. Let's say in input for some reason you want to use that already created version, you can use it with this like this zero. That means it will pick the current generation as a input. Okay. Okay, Balu.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I think it is clear for all.
Yeah, yeah, Akshay, nice.
Okay. Chalo. So this concludes our GDG section. While revision, like when we will take the revision and interview questions, I will go through it again. But at this point, we will conclude it, and from tomorrow we will start the actual stuff, like sort. Okay, the most asked questions in the interview on the JCL is sort. Okay, on the sort, DF sort. So we will start one by one all the sort sections. Okay, now you know how to create a PS file, PDS file, GDG file, how to use it in a input, how to use it in output. So all things are clear. Now let's play with the data. Okay, whatever data you have, let's reformat it, let's include, omit, outrec, indirect, some fields equal to none, remove the duplicates, then join keys, all these things we'll go through in the next sessions. Okay. Chalo. Thank you so much, guys. I'm
Yeah.
stopping my
Thank you,
sharing
Akshay.
here.
Please
Yeah.
share, I mean, this is recording
Yes.
with you as early as
I
possible, right?
Yes, I will share the recording as soon as possible. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.